Hey out there, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. I am coming from my living room slash my home office, and I just wanted to touch briefly on classroom management and how important it is. And if you don't have a plan to figure out how to get a plan in place. Now, I want to say before I start that I am in no means an expert in classroom management. I am no expert and I'm not a PhD or anything, but as a veteran of the classroom, I have seen myself grow professionally from not having any classroom management at all and wanting to be the kids' friends to making sure that they understand what my expectations are. So I just wanted to give a brief, I'll say less than 10-minute synopsis of an effective classroom that is flourishing with classroom management. So first thing is first, when before the beginning of the school year, when the beginning of the school year starts, it is imperative to make sure that regardless of how many students you have, some of the first things that you do is you come up with a form of a plan for classroom management. What are you going to do when faced with situations of the students in your classroom? What I would do in order to fix that situation is when you go over your rules, make sure you have 5 good, solid classroom rules posted. And try to avoid the no and any negative language in making rules for your classroom. So, for example, do your best work. And when you go over your expectations, explain what do your best work means. So that way your students can understand it. So have 4 to 5 good rules in your classroom posted up so that they can see them. Also, on your wall, you should have negative consequences. Things, what happens when they break rules in your classroom. And also, you should have positive consequences. What are the positive things that happen when students are in compliance and doing everything that you tell them to do? What are some of the positive consequences that they could receive? So, for example, positive phone calls home, or their name will be entered in for a class raffle or something like that. What are the things that you're going to do for those students who are doing what's expected? Because if most of our time is spent on students who are not doing what's expected, then that takes away from your class time. And you should really focus on the kids who are doing things that you expect them to do. So these things should be on your wall so that your students can see them. And not only can they see them, but one thing that I have done in the past 10 years of being in the classroom is I have gone over my expectations while students were doing their warm-ups in the first part of the class period. And I did that because I want them to understand what my expectations are inside of my classroom. I am by no means the sage of the stage, and I try to facilitate, but that first 10 minutes of the class period is really meant for them to activate prior knowledge, things that they're already learning, as well as to understand what the expectations are of that teacher in the classroom. So once you have set these things in your classroom, you have your posted rules and your expectations, you have your positive and your negative consequences. Set up a phone log. Make sure you have a phone log and call parents. Now, I remember my first year of teaching, second, even third year of teaching, I hated calling parents because I felt like parents weren't going to do anything. And I can go ahead and try to handle things inside the classroom. But one thing that I learned is Even if the phone call home is positive, parents are more in tune with teachers who call for the positive and the negative and not just the negative. I learned from a principal that if you make at least one positive phone call home per day for the whole school, that will add up to about 6,000 positive phone calls. So that way we're not just calling for when bad things happen. So once again, have your classroom rules and expectations posted up. And once you have them posted up, don't just have them posted up and go over them on the first day and that's it. You have to go over those expectations from day one all the way to day 180 or day 90 or however long your class is. You go from day one to the last day going over your expectations. So once you've gone over once your expectations are posted, your lesson plan should reflect your expectations. So if you have a 45 or 50-minute block of class time, chunk that time so that way your students are not just doing one thing during that time, that they're actually working on 2 or 3 different activities, but leave the first 10 to 15 minutes of your class period open for discussing things that you've done in the past as well as your expectations. Leave that time open so that way you can go over your expectations with them. This is one thing that you can do so that your students will know what your expectations are. So once you have your classroom rules posted and you have your positive and negative consequences and your phone log and you're making those phone calls at least one per day, whether it's positive or negative, make sure that your administration you have your administration support in regards to your plan. And once this plan is done, then you are starting the process of having an effective classroom. Thank you, and I hope that you'll have a good night, and there will be more videos to come.